Cowabunga, welcome back to Interjections. I'm your host, Andrew. We've got the whole crew back together Nico, Irfan, and Jay. Irfan, what's going on, man?
Nothing much. Living the life, enjoying this special season from this special team. And now that you said Cowabunga, I've got all sorts of weird animated 90s memories going through my mind, but all good.
Miko, what's up?
Yeah, thanks. Doing great. Waiting for the match.
Jay, welcome back to the pod. How have you recovered from dropping points to Atalanta? I mean, as a Milan fan, of course.
Not too bad following the commanding display against Lazio. All jokes aside, just want to say big thanks to Sterling for coming on here 2 weeks in a row on short notice, being very generous with his time and dropping some steaming hot takes. I think because of his excellent contributions, I was not too badly missed, unlike Lautaro's penalty. I also want to address speculation that I ducked the episode because I said Barella wasn't world class, only for him to put in a man of the match performance against Atletico. That is definitely not the reason. Doing well.
Let's get into it. So, another 4-0 win, another domination of a Serie opponents. Still undefeated in 2024, and the train keeps chugging along. Irfan, I want to get your thoughts before we dive into specifics from the match. Just the impressive domination of Atalanta. Gasperini was subbing off key players for rarely used substitutes around the 60th minute mark, conceding defeat. Like this was a drubbing, and given how high Atalanta are on the table, it's impressive, and it's a big compliment to Inzaghi that he was able to dispose of a good team so easily.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. And, a good team, a challenging team, a team that plays really well, and a team that was in really good form. So you got to really hand it to Asllani and the boys. I mean, they just really just kept going. They didn't skip a beat. It definitely felt like in the first 5 or 10 minutes of the match, though, that we were going to be in it for a fight. And if you watch like the first 5 or 10 minutes, it'd be hard for anyone to kind of stop there and predict that Inter would end up commanding the game and winning 4-0. But kind of once we settled in, I think the result was pretty inevitable. The team played really well. I'm really impressed by the amount of resiliency that this team has shown. And we've, like any team trying to sustain a title fight, you expect some bounces to go our way, and I think this last match there were a few that did go our way. I mean, the goal that was nullified because of the handball for Atalanta was a big call. It was the right call, but it was kind of like a freakish call. And then our penalty was kind of in the same boat. So, sometimes you need a little bit of luck, but even without those incidents, I think we would have ended up winning. And I think, again, it's a testament to kind of how resilient this team is. It used to be 2 years ago, I made this point that if Brozovic wasn't playing, we were almost completely and utterly destined for either a draw or a loss. It really didn't matter who we were playing. And now it seems like, one of our strongest, most consistent and best players in Serie, Hakan, who goes out and is not playing, or, it could be somebody else. It could be Barella, who in a few matches before didn't play. And then we still kind of chug along and we ended up winning and winning fairly convincingly. So I think you really do have to hand it to the team. And I jokingly said Asllani and the boys, but, I think even the most harsh Asllani haters would have had to admit that the team itself looked pretty good. That's been one of the greatest criticisms of him generally, is that the team overall just doesn't perform as well when he starts. And to an extent, I think that's been true. But in this case, we looked really good. And it looked like the same team that always plays if we were playing with our starters. So you really got to hand it to Inzaghi for getting these guys to believe in the system and just, execute it to the best of their abilities, even when you're rotating quite a bit.
Miko, what did you think of the early penalty or handball shout rather on Atalanta? They score the De Catalara goal. You're worried at first because once again this team hasn't been down much this year, and it was a poor turnover of play that led to them having a chance. Then you get bailed out by the penalty. In my opinion, this is pretty clear cut, blatant handball in the box, nothing you can do about it. But any differing opinions from you?
Yeah, about the Atalanta goal, which was overturned. I think we just got lucky there because the outcome of the play wouldn't have been any different if the ball didn't touch Miranchuk's hand or arm. It would have gone to the same place anyway because the touch to the arm was so minimal. But the rules are pretty clear with these ones. If there's a goal chance, it's gonna be ruled out if there is even a slight touch. But I want to mention that I'm using this kind of a site called FOTMob.com, and they show these nice statistics, and one of them is this kind of momentum chart or graphics, which shows that which team has a momentum throughout the match, and it shows the first 20 minutes it was mostly Atalanta and not Inter, and the eye test of course tells us the same thing. Atalanta was pressing and playing better than Inter at the start, and I don't remember what was the minute when that goal happened on that war situation happened. Was it like in the 20th or something around those minutes? But like around the half point of the first half, it heavily turned to Inter, and then we scored pretty fast from there. But I feel like what Irfan said, that even if we conceded that goal, I can see us playing like poorly for the whole match, even if the first 20 minutes weren't too good by Inter. Of course, those kind of moments can change the momentum, like it maybe did here, but that maybe tells more about Atalanta and their like lack of composure and mental toughness to handle these kind of situations, because they played very well until that point, or the first 20 minutes, but then it kind of dropped off, and then we got maybe a bit lucky goal with the Karnesecki doing some kind of a odd saving attempt and like almost gifting us the goal, even though it was a nice play by Lautaro and Mkhitaryan. But anyway, as for the penalty call for us, yeah, I think that was more like a clear one. Nothing special in that call. It first looked a bit weird, like what are they actually doing there and why it got called off. But pretty soon it was clear that okay, the ball wasn't out at any moment, and then they started checking the arm contact and so on. But yeah, that's my takes on those two situations.
You have to feel a little bit hard done by if you're an Atalanta fan. The fact that the linesman raised his flag, that kind of just confuses the whole situation. I'm sure even if, realistically, maybe if it didn't make a huge difference, that's something that Hateboer and Atalanta could point to as being like the refs obviously kind of, there was a miscommunication between the refs, or which contributed to that situation. And yeah, the first goal being disallowed, to be honest, I missed the entire first 15-20 minutes because I didn't wake up in time. But looking back, yeah, it's another one. The contact was so small, and yeah, you're right by saying by the rule of the law, it is it has to be disallowed because his hand is kind of raised in an unnatural position, and it obviously does make contact. But it's just two of these kind of unlucky instances if you're an Atalanta fan. And yeah, I don't think there's any question that we got a bit lucky with both of those. But more credit for the Marotta Bank, for the Marotta League. I mean, so what can I say? We got a bit lucky. And I wanted to ask, whose fault was that giveaway? Was that Pavard's fault or was that Aslani's fault? I'll open the question to everyone except Irfan.
I think it was Pavard doing a poor pass. That's how it looked. If I remember correctly, it was he tried to pass it to Aslani, or how was it? And Aslani wasn't like paying attention at all. And I don't know. It looked like it wasn't a good pass. What about you, Andrew? How did you see it?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the goal. I was leaning Pavard initially. I was leaning Pavard initially. I thought he's the one who set it up and had the ball fall to whoever bounced off of in the box that ultimately led to the rebounded chance at Catalara. I don't know. Irfan, you probably know this better than I do. What happens with Aslani on the play?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a little bit of both, but I think it was Pavard's fault more. Not because of my pro Aslani bias, but I think because he overhit the ball is what it seemed like. I think he was trying to hit Aslani in stride, and Aslani was actually not moving forward in that position, and so he kind of overhit the pass. But had Aslani been running forward, which I think is what Pavard was anticipating, he probably would have easily gotten to the ball. So I think there's a bit of a miscommunication between the two, but ultimately, if you're Pavard, you can't play that ball, I think, unless you're sure that your player is going to get there or be there.
So after the Catalara canceled out goal, we got the lead a little bit later. I think Miko mentioned the VAR chance was in the 10th minute. Our goal came about 15 minutes later. Really nice run by Darmian that led to a goal. He could have had a second goal in short succession. I know he had a blatant opportunity in the box and kind of shocked he missed it, to be honest. But we did find the second goal before halftime, and I want to talk about this goal because this is one of his most impressive goals this season, I think. Lautaro pivoting, using his left foot, curling the ball from outside the frame to just into the corner, rooting the keeper to the spots. Any thoughts on this goal from you guys? I was going through mentally racking my brain about this, and I think this might be like one of his 3 or 4 most impressive goals this season, just in terms of pure technical ability.
Yeah, I think the skill level on that goal was pretty incredible. Watching it live at the time, I remember being quite floored that he was able to pull that off. It almost looked like it's so bad to say, but like when the goal first was scored, I thought like maybe it took some weird deflection off of a defender who was like standing right in front of him, because I'm just so not used to Lautaro scoring these types of goals. But you're exactly right. The technical skill involved in the way he set up the ball and the way he struck it with his left foot and the way he curled it around Handanovic, or whoever it was, I guess, rooted to the spot, doing their best Handanovic impression, was definitely impressive. So, yeah, props to Lautaro. I think he's looked really sharp the last couple of games. And I think you mentioned Darmian for a second. I'll just add, like, this is the benefit of having the ability to rest this guy, right? I mean, you rested him for, like, I think a couple of games, and he comes out and he has one of his best kind of performances. I mean, he was everywhere, and he played really well. And like you said, he could have had, I think, at least another goal, if not 2. So, hopefully Inzaghi gets the message that, especially. Yeah, well, he gets the message that against these, like, with these players who are, 34, 35 plus now, he needs to like rest them here and there, and then their performance, I think, like, is multiples above what you might see if you're playing them twice a week.
So speaking of ability to have multiple goals, Miko, break down Lautaro's missed penalty for me, because I think we can say we have a problem now when it comes to Lautaro penalties, right? We need to take him off the responsibilities. And if Hakan's not on the pitch, it's time to consider other alternatives, surely, at this point, right?
Yeah, what can I say? That's just not good enough. I don't know what is it with this guy and the penalties. He can score in the in the World Cup. Was it the quarterfinals as the fifth shooter, and he easily puts it past the keeper to win it for Argentina. But then at Inter, it seems to be so hard for him to get a consistent good penalties. He even did this like a small step or like a hold up step there to check where the Karnecki will go, and Karnecki, he didn't go anywhere. He just waited for the shot, and then I don't know. It's just too bad. I agree that we need to find someone else, or Lautaro needs to start training for those penalties so that he can like I don't know, smash them to the corner or something, to the top corner or something, like those Roma guys did against Feyenoord in the Europe League knockout stage in the second leg. Those were like great penalties. Those guys did, Paredes and even Cristante. But I don't know what is it with Lautaro. How can how he doesn't have this kind of composure in those penalties when you have all the time to like think and prepare what you're gonna do. Maybe it's against the nature of the player, because Lautaro has always been kind of like an instinct and reactionary guy who does stuff pretty rushed and with quick moves and like I said, reactionary way. So maybe those penalties is not his thing, or it's not a, I don't know. I don't have anything else to add, because the record is so bad at this point at Inter that he can't be the one anymore after Hakan.
There's a lack of technique to me when he takes these things. We've talked about this in the past. There needs to be a plan when you step up to take a penalty. You either need to rifle it with enough pace into the corner that the keeper can't reach it in time, or you need to elevate it and put it in a spot where the keeper can't reach it. And then Lukaku is maybe the third alternative, since he's one of the best penalty takers I've ever seen. And he just has a fundamental ability to make keepers guess the wrong way or wait long enough to shoot that he is able to, put the ball where the keeper isn't going. And Lautaro doesn't really do any of those things. All his penalties.
I wanna interject. It was funny in this. I mentioned the Roma Feyenoord match. Lukaku was the only one from Roma who missed. Yeah,
that is
missed
the first penalty he's missed in like 5 years, though.
Yeah, no. He missed one. He missed one for Roma earlier in the season as well. That's why Dybala has become the penalty kick taker for Roma. But yeah, Andrew, you're 100% right. You put the ball high or you put it low. You don't put it at this kind of comfortable, like waist height for the goalkeeper to save, and that's just Lautaro. And if you're going to go left, you're going to go right. You want to try and put it closer to the post, but it's always just like medium left. It's like if you divide the goal into like quarters, it's always like just in halfway between the goalkeeper in the middle and the post. It's not like just touching the inside of the post like Hakan does. So just statistically, he's going to get saved a lot, and that's what happens. So yeah,
and the penalty he did make for Argentina, what Miko's referencing, that was a top corner shot, if memory serves correct. It was like upper left corner.
Yeah. It was right into the side netting of the left post, and we just, I don't know, we don't see that. His best penalties for us have probably been the ones where he just kind of like smashes it hard into the top right side, But Miko said it perfectly. He's a guy who's always kind of worked on instinct, just plays with a rush of blood to his head. That's why his finishing has been kind of questionable prior to this season. I think this season he has arguably elevated his finishing level a little bit, but part of me thinks he's just coming off better for him this season, and he hasn't really changed that much at all. But the penalties, regardless, are a bit of an issue. So, look, if not Hakan, then who? It's hard to say. I don't really trust many other people in this team. Ironically, Aslani and Arnautovic both have excellent records, but I think Aslani's record is like from the youth tier, and Arnautovic certainly has not taken a penalty for us yet. So, proven penalty takers at Inter, there's almost none.
So the question becomes, who do we want taking penalties when Hakan's not available? Jay, you mentioned Arnautovic and Aslani. Those are both reasonable options. I will continue to say I think DeMarco should be considered a candidate. He just has the technical ability where once again, he's taken one penalty for us. It was against Atalanta. We all remember it. He skied it off the bar and cost us a win. But he just has the technical ability to wrap a ball into the corner, you would think, if he can keep his head screwed on straight. Irfan, what do you think?
Yeah, I was thinking that. I think that's a possibility. I don't know, though. I think it's hard for me. As bad as he is at it, do you really want to strip him of the penalty-taking abilities? I'm talking about Lautaro. Because, or the penalty-taking responsibilities, because he is your kind of captain, your best player, and your striker. So it's almost like I'd rather have someone just kind of work on his technique than kind of demoralize him in a sense by taking away his place in the penalty kicking chart. But I don't know, like you all said, I do think something needs to change. I think the same reason we were surprised that he scored that goal, the second goal that we scored, the reason we were surprised he scored that is probably the same reason why, he doesn't seem to be doing so well with penalties. It's just not the way he typically plays with, precision, placement, and, technique when shooting. So I think that's the rub. I'm curious though. What I don't know is and again, he's not usually on the pitch, but I'm curious what Sanchez's penalty taking record is. I think it's not good, right? I don't think
it's not good.
It's disgraceful. It's disgraceful.
It's terrible. Yeah,
okay. It's like Zeko level.
No. Jecko at least had the decency to be 50-50. Sanchez is 25-75. So, it's a miracle that he even scored the one against, I can't remember who it was. Was it Salzburg or something, or Leipzig, or whoever we played in the Champions League? I don't know. I think he scored one this season,
Benfica.
but Benfica, yeah. But I don't want Sanchez anywhere near penalties, to be honest.
What about Thuram or Barella? I don't know if they're particularly.
Barella has a good penalty record, but it's all from Kyrie. I think he's 3 or 4 or something like that in his career.
Yeah, but such a small sample size. The last penalty he took for Cagliari came against Inter, and he put it into Rosette. So, and Barella's, as we all know, a bit of a head case as well. So I can see him, smashing a penalty at 99 power against the crossbar, and then wildly gesticulating to his teammates about how it's someone else's fault. So Barella's not my pick. You think Mkhitaryan might have the brains and the sense to do it, but he's just been a bit shit in front of goal, with any of these kind of half chances.
He's taken one penalty since 2013.
Wow. But I would go with Mkhitaryan if they train the penalties.
It's been a lot of years.
I'm quite sure Mkhitaryan could be a good option.
His shooting has been so bad recently. After that Milan game, he's completely forgotten how to shoot.
You know what? Just give it to a Cherby and be done with it. I can trust him to, just put his foot through it and just at least keep it on target, and that's enough.
This is never going to happen, but the person with a sneaky good penalty record is Dumfries. He was perfect in the Dutch league. He just obviously has not taken one since he joined Inter.
Yeah, some of these defenders are low-key decent penalty takers. I mean, Bonucci was a good one for Juve for many years in Italy, so I think even Chiellini had a decent record. He just smash it, high, and then just keep it relatively on target, and even that alone is better than what Lautaro is doing. So, you know what? Give it to Pavard for all I give a shit. Just I don't want to see Lautaro on them anymore.
I think that Lautaro won't do this hold up step shit anymore, and at least I hope he understands that, okay, this is not for him, and he should just like, because he has taken some good ones, like you Jay mentioned, these ones when he like smashes it to the top corner or like really hard shot. And I think he should just train those with maybe with Çalhanoğlu. Okay, Çalhanoğlu does it a bit differently, but maybe Lautaro should just train them better and not this steps
Yeah,
anymore.
but do you? I don't know. I feel like the guys are just. I don't feel like at Appiano or Suning training ground that they're like sitting there, taking these metrics and like getting them to train specific penalty techniques. I think I don't know. I've always thought of penalties as being one of those like really under-trained things in football in general. Like I don't think teams like actually sit there and try to like improve their players on penalties. Like I know that some players do train them specifically, but as a team, like I don't really think they, obviously they work hard to get their fitness levels up, for example, or their tactics. I just don't think penalties are one of those things that get the same amount of attention from coaching staff. I could be wrong,
Yeah,
but
could be. But
yeah.
maybe when these Champions League knockout stages, like they've now on the schedule, so maybe they think about these things as well. At least hopefully, because the result with the Atletico is something that we can quite as well end up to the penalties.
So after DeMarco punched in the rebounds on the Lautaro missed penalty, the game was effectively over. Like I said, Gasparini subbed off some key players, put on players who don't often play. Frattesi picks up a consolation goal and then immediately injures himself on it and has to be subbed out for big fan on this podcast, Davy Clausen. So another 3 points, another 4-goal performance. Any other thoughts from the match? It's crazy that it's such a routine matter now, right? I mean, once again, you annihilate a good Serie team, and it's almost like, yep, Jan just did this before. So I want to give us credit because it was an impressive performance, but just the complete terror that we're on right now, it feels like you're kind of expecting this, and we all kind of have our eyes, well, at least one eye on this Atletico return leg, because Irfan, as I think you were saying last week, if we don't beat Atletico, this might be a pretty boring end to the season the way we're currently trending.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. I mean, I don't know. I am feeling relatively confident about the Atletico, but I think it's still like going to be a really difficult challenge. When it comes to the league, I obviously feel a lot more confident. We've got like Genoa next, and we should be taking care of business on that one. I feel like we've kind of drawn out some of the more precarious times that we've had with injuries. So hopefully, we'll be getting the team back to full strength pretty quickly. So I'm feeling cautiously optimistic that we could get past Atletico, and then who knows what's going to happen in the Champions League after that. That next draw, assuming we can take care of business against Atletico, that next draw is going to be huge.
By the way, regarding injuries, which players we missed against Atalanta? There were at least Thuram, Cherpi, Çalhanoğlu. Were the others?
I think that was it,
thought
right?
Quadrat-
And then Frattesi went off injured.
Quadrado.
Sensi.
Yeah, but yeah, like three starters missing, and still we were like no business at the end for the opponent, even though it was a bit cagey at the start, but nevertheless very impressive by Inter for the past weeks. Is it like a third 4-0 game now in a row, and fourth where we scored 4 goals?
Yes.
So the expectations are pretty high for the future.
Was anyone else a little annoyed that Buchanan didn't get an appearance in this game? I just
No.
if the plan is to truly, and I will caveat this by saying that maybe the plan was for him to go on, and then Frattesi got hurt, and as a result we had to burn a sub. But it's just frustrating because if the plan really is to sell Dumfries and replace Dumfries with a combination of Darmian and Buchanan next season. Why did we sign this guy in January and just absolutely refuse to play him? Like, we need to get him up to speed. And when you've won 4 games in a row by comfortable margins, like, these are the minutes he should be getting to become acclimated to the league, and he has 2 substitute appearances so far.
But it was actually Darmian coming out at the halftime because he took the yellow card, so Dumfries started the second half, so it would have been a bit odd to.
But he's played left wing back.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Augusta came in at 17th.
I think.
Well,
I think he just ran out of. I think he, he was going to replace Dumfries. He was going to put in Dumfries as a replacement for Darmian when he picked up the yellow, and then I think Augusto's obviously much higher in the rotational and play time chart than Buchanan is. I was disappointed not to see our boy Akan Sanmiro, but I guess we'll have to wait for maybe Genoa, where he might make another appearance, so that people can keep telling me that he's way better than Slani. So I guess we'll have to just wait and see. But one quick question on this match I had was, we didn't talk about him that much, but I'm curious, like, how you all think we've managed to cope without Thuram. Sanchez started the match before against Lecce, where we won 4-0. And then this time it was Arnautovic starting, and we won 4-0. I think neither of them probably had too much to say about that. Like, they weren't particularly relevant in those results. But Sanchez as a sub has started to come on, I think, a little bit more. I mean, he assisted on that, I think the last goal that we had, right, against Atalanta. So I'm just curious, like, what we thought of a 90-minute performance by Arnautovic and, Sanchez playing the match before.
I thought Arnautovic was very underwhelming. He finally got his moment, right? Scoring the match-winning goal in a full San Siro in a big match. He looked up to the heavens as if a great weight had been lifted off his shoulders, and he got down and kissed the San Siro turf, and he got the happy ending that everyone so wanted for him. Is finally his first real contribution in an Inter shirt since he was 18 years old, that he'd been waiting for since he was 18 or 19, whatever. But look, I don't expect him to suddenly take that motivation and go on a tear and become an amazing player all of a sudden, but he just kind of went straight back to moping around, and you just see his body language kind of pisses me off, like a pass doesn't go right or something, and then he just, shoulders go down, head goes down, and just starts like lounging around, kind of moping around, and it's kind of annoying, especially when he's been given a chance to play 90 minutes or at least start a game. So, and as you said, he didn't really do shit anyway, so I thought it was a pretty weak performance from Arnautovic. Sanchez, by comparison, looked a lot more active coming off the bench. I thought in the whichever game Sanchez played 90 minutes, was it Lecce? He looked better than Arnautovic as well. We spoke about it last week that in the first half he was on a bit of a different wavelength, but on the second half he started to link up with his teammates a bit better and delivered that very, very nice assist for Fratesi. Well, both games actually he assisted Fratesi, but you get my point. Sanchez is starting to kind of find his groove and use his trickery and his vision to kind of make an impact. Whereas, like I said, Arnautovic just looks like he's still struggling. He doesn't look any different to the frustrated, sad Arnautovic before he scored that big euphoric game winner in the Champions League. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's a case of this kid he'll never grow up. I don't know. I'm not yet buying into this. I'm not yet convinced that he's even close to repaying the amount of money that we spent on him, nor am I convinced in any way that he is starting to justify his presence here. Sanchez, reluctantly, I'm starting to see traces of the old Sanchez, or the Sanchez at Inter in his first spell, where he was so often like a difference maker off the bench. You know what I mean? When things were when things were tough or when things were not going our way, you could bring him on and he would find pockets of space and make plays. And as Miko said last episode, he was giving like these hockey assists. It was the assist against Salernitana where Sanchez, played out Dumfries to the right, and then Dumfries played in Arnautovic. I think that happened 2 or 3 games in a row. And even having the sense to make that pass outright to release Dumfries, that's useful, right? So Sanchez is starting to contribute, but like I said, I don't see any difference between this Arnautovic and the pre-goal Arnautovic, and yeah, not really sure he's done anything. I'm not really sure he's made enough headway towards justifying the fact that he's here.
So Jay wants a 3-year extension for Sanchez. It seems like Morata, get it done.
I'd
He
almost
wants Correa
prefer.
back.
I'd almost prefer extending Sanchez to keeping Arnautovic for another season at this point, but realistically, we know the deal. And yeah, I mean, while we're on that note, who's coming in? Taremi, like, yeah, Jesus, like, what do we need a log in front of goal for? Like, I pray for the day that we can have like a Lookman type player. He doesn't need to score all that often. He doesn't need to have number 9 type numbers like a Dzeko, but just someone who offers a bit of pace, the ability to beat a man one-on-one every now and again. Someone who's able to kind of drift in from the flanks and make plays and link up and just offer a bit of difference. We just don't have that profile, and so
You're literally
watching
describing Correa.
Sanchez, pretty much. I is describing Correa if he wasn't shit, but
Yeah, like the idealized version of what Correa was supposed to be.
Yeah, or like Keita Balde if he realized his potential, kind of thing. Just like someone in between, not quite a winger, but not quite a striker either. Just someone in that kind of half space who roams that like quarter channel effectively. But yeah, I don't know. We seem loath to purchase that kind of player. Like we mentioned previously, the last time we tried was, other than Correa, was like, I don't know, Jan Karamo or something. But what can we do?
To me, Arnautovic hasn't been as bad as Jay expresses it. I think he's useful in our link-up play and being the target guy. And I think he's playing pretty okay for us after he started playing a bit more. But obviously there's been this, was it the Verona match when he was quite bad, and then this Atalanta match where he couldn't get almost anything to work in his game.
He hasn't scored a single good goal yet. All his goals have been like shit. Like the one.
I don't care about that too much.
He somehow failed. He almost managed to miss the open net, and like the other goals that he scored have been like at the far post. I mean, it's important. I credit him for being there at the right time at the right place, but I'm yet to see like I said, a goal that is in itself something impressive, and I think that's a sign of a player who is playing well when they start scoring good goals. Like Lautaro's goal against Atalanta was a good goal, but like I said, Arnautovic, I don't know, these tap-ins are seemingly not really giving him the confidence that he needs to really strive forward in his Inter career and contribute in a really meaningful way. So I don't know, maybe one day he'll get score a nice header from a corner or something, or just score a proper goal and stop missing these fucking sitters and open nets. But until then, I don't know, man. Like I said, just these shit goals he's scoring aren't really doing much for him, it seems.
Yeah, like I said, I disagree with this goal take, but for me, Arnautovic's role is mainly to be the placeholder at this point. When the one guy's out, he just needs to be there and needs to play our game. He needs to be like useful there, and to me, he's been useful apart from scoring goals like the open nets against Atletico. But for me, he's been just fine but these performances like against Atalanta, they those I don't of course don't like, because the ball was bouncing to his from his feet like prime Lukaku, and he wasn't anywhere to be effective in this game, at least most of the game. And I feel like or sometimes it feels now he's been playing. Was it the second time he played 90 minutes? I'm not sure. Maybe it was. It felt like maybe he started to be not like a physically ready to play these kind of minutes, because what I think is at Inter, all the players play in a certain role, and they need to like execute it all the time, and you don't have like a free time during the game. And when he was at Bologna, I think that his role was more free, in a sense that you don't need to execute this certain type of role all the time, and be focused and like be inside the game all the time. But at Inter, when Inter is usually mostly either like keeping the possession, so the strikers have a certain role to like a cover to be in certain areas on the pitch and move in a specific ways. You need to be like focused all the time, and that's just my pure speculation, but it feels that maybe Arnautovic maybe is not up to the task to play such a role for 90 minutes in a match. But just my speculation based on these few matches he's been playing a bit more. But that's just my feeling with this guy.
Okay, let's talk about the next game. So we play on Monday evening tomorrow against Genoa, who are not in great form. They're safe at this point. They're the last team before the cluster of teams who are still fighting for relegation. They're probably the last team that's definitively safe at this point in the table. They've only won 2 of their last 5 games. They beat Udinese last week on a Retegui overhead kick goal that has been included in most goal of the week compilations you'll see from the league. But you all know my feelings on Retegui as a player. I'm not a fan. The actual top scorer on their team is, what's his name? Is it Gunmanson? Jay, help me out here.
Yeah, I think so. Goodman. Was it Albert Goodmanson or something?
Goodmanson? There we go. Yeah, I'm not the pronunciation guy of the podcast. But he's their leading scorer. And as you all surely remember at this point, Genoa is one of the few teams we've dropped points to this year, which seems incomprehensible at this point, but here we are. So from a lineup perspective, I think you'll see pretty much a full go. We have a full week off between this and the Bologna match. There's not much of a need to rest players at this point. If you're going to strategically rest someone, I think you target the Bologna match ahead of Atletico. So any thoughts, Miko, on what you would do from a lineup standpoint? I would pretty much go all out on this. I'm hoping Thuram's back. If you can give Thuram either 60 to 30 minutes in this game, that'd be ideal to sort of slowly start to ramp him up. Otherwise, pretty much I want to see the same lineup we played against Atalanta.
Yeah. I think maybe most of the starters will play, but it's up to the fitness levels. The match against Atalanta was on Wednesday, so there's been few days for the rest and also for the training. And then after this match, it's gonna be on Saturday, the Bologna match. So there's gonna be many days left between these matches. So I think it's gonna be mostly the starters who can take it, and who are like not injured yet. I don't know. Is Thuram's status that he can participate this match, or what's the latest with Thuram?
Yeah, I saw that he's supposed to be available for this match. I don't know if he's supposed to be available in a substitute capacity versus a starter capacity, but the latest I saw is that they're expecting him to be fit enough to at least appear. It looks like, I'm just looking here, the most recent article I'm seeing says he's going to be available from the bench.
Okay, what about Acerbi? He's been out quite a while. I think Çalhanoğlu is going to be out uh, out for 1 week still, or is he back for Bologna as well?
Yeah, no, Khan's going to be out for this match as well. Acerbi, once again, expected to be in the squad. I don't know if he's going to be able to start or not, but Acerbi and Thuram expected back in some capacity. Hakan is still out, and I think we can safely assume Fratese's probably out at this point, just given the injury scare from last week. So those are the four players in doubt.
Okay. Well, it sounds pretty okay, and we can like arrogantly already plan how to use the players uh, regarding the Atletico match in 1.5 weeks from here.
See, this is what I mean, though. Everything is looking forward to this Atletico match at this point because that's
Yeah,
that's the biggest anticipation at this point.
yeah. It's gonna be. Is it Napoli Juve at Diego Armando Maradona on this evening, and that could also cut more points from Juve. So beating Genoa at home is shouldn't be a task we can't accomplish. So we could increase the points difference even more in this round. But let's see.
Yeah, I have little faith in Napoli versus Juve. Just because, in general, I feel like whenever we expect Juve to drop points, they usually don't, and then when we don't expect them to drop points, they drop points. Uh, what I think is going to be interesting. I mean, Genoa. What I worry about with Genoa is just that it's such a trap game in the sense that we have Bologna right after them, and then we have Atletico and then Napoli. And so I think everyone's probably more curious to see what we do against Bologna because that's Saturday, and then the Champions League second leg is on Wednesday. So I'm curious to see. I think I'm more curious to see like what Inzaghi does against Bologna, who's a tough opponent, and then Atletico coming right after that, versus kind of what he does against Genoa. But I just, I don't think we will. I think we've concentrated, and the team has earned, enough of a benefit of the doubt not to think that we're going to come out sleepy against Genoa because it's a relatively easier match than the three we have coming up next. But that's the one concern I have with Genoa. That's kind of like a trap game with the team and Inzaghi probably much more focused on the next three matches right after that.
Yeah, so this Genoa team plays a bit like a relegation side. I know they're safe, but they play direct. They're very catching you out on the counter. They're going to sit back. They're going to try to absorb pressure from us in the first half of this game. And I think that bodes well for us because I think we've played exceptionally well against those types of teams this year. There haven't been too many instances in general where we've struggled this year, but I will say I always personally just feel a bit nervous when you get into these games like against Atalanta, where for the first 15, 20 minutes they're trying to assert themselves or it's more on equal footing. We've had a lot of success this year breaking teams down, and that's what I expect Genoa to try and dare us to do in an away fixture like this for them. Jay, what are your thoughts on the match?
I think we just plow ahead at full steam with the full strength lineup for all three games. For all four games in the next 3 weeks. We've got Genoa, Bologna, Atleti, and Napoli. Genoa, I think, will be tougher than people think. I mean, everyone's on a high from us winning 4 games in a row and scoring 4 goals. I think we'll beat Genoa, but I think it'll be a stubborn kind of 2-0 kind of thing. I don't think the football will be free flowing, and and great to watch. I just have a feeling that Genoa will be quite resolute defensively. Bologna, I have a filthy feeling about, and they've turned into a real bogey side for us recently. Especially this Bologna under Thiago Motta. I wouldn't be surprised to see us drop points there. And as you guys mentioned, it's only 4 days before the Atletico match, so we're almost obliged in some way to rotate. The best thing we can do for that stretch of matches, Genoa, Bologna, Atleti, and Napoli, is just to take them one by one and treat them as individual games and use the time that is afforded to us, or when it is afforded to us, to play the strongest team available. So, as mentioned, there's not a full week, but enough time between Genoa and Bologna to play a full strength side. So that is what I think we should do. For me, when I say full strength, I know Damian put in a good performance and scored, but Dumfries has been looking really good recently. I think he's been really physical. I love how, sometimes he might not have the best position, but he just uses his physical strength to force himself into a good position, even from a disadvantageous position. So it's not often that I have praise for Dumfries, but I think he's playing quite well recently. And Dami is too, of course, but I'd like to see Dumfries kind of start more games. And so, yeah, let's just play the same lineup we did against Atalanta, throw in Dumfries on the right flank, and yeah, I'm good to go.
We can do some predictions for this match. Irfan, if you want to start us off.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 3-0 Inter. I think Lautaro gets 2 and Sanchez gets another.
Miko?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with 3-0 as well. Not gonna buy this tough match thing. Maybe it's gonna be like that at the start, but we're gonna take over eventually. And yeah, Lautaro takes 1, and then Parola gets the score sheet finally. And let's give the final one to Fratesi again. Except is he even available now? I think he is. So he's get the third one.
Jay?
Yeah, I predicted 2-0, so I think the scorers will be someone not expected. Let's go Dumfries, and Dumfries double.
I understand why everyone's predicting a clean sheet for us. We've done a great job defensively this season. There's just this part of me that thinks we're due to concede a goal, and why not against the team who's already gotten us once this year with an own goal, mind you. So I'll go with a narrow 2-1 win. I don't really have a good reason for why we're going to struggle against a team like Genoa, other than they did well against us in the first fixture. Like we're rolling through everyone at this point, and it's absolutely silly to predict anything other than a victory when Inter steps on the pitch right now. But just given, I like to think in the psychology of the players, there's going to be this natural inclination to just start peeking ahead when you've got a potential Champions League team coming up next in the league, and then you have an actual Champions League match, a few injuries in the squad. It just feels like a bit of a letdown spot where, okay, we could struggle a little bit, but I can't in any state of mind pick us to drop points here. So I'll go 2-1. Give me a Sanchez goal, since I assume he's going to start, and let's throw in a Lautaro goal for good measure. So we're not going to be able to record an episode before the Bologna match. The next time we're going to be coming with an episode for you guys is after Bologna. So we do want to just touch on that match, given they're one of the better teams in the league. Try to give you a quick primer for it. So Jay, you already mentioned Thiago Motta and this fact that we just cannot seem to beat Bologna in the recent memory. Got knocked out by them in the Copa, struggled against them in the first Seriea match. So why do you think we're struggling against them, and what are you seeing from Thiago Motta's squad that has you worried?
It's a good question. there's no. I don't think there's any like one specific reason or a tactical mismatch or anything like that. I just think Bologna are really resolute. They defend really well. I think they are third for least goals conceded, um, and and they've only lost 4 games as well. So that's proof that they're just a hard nut to crack. And for whatever reason, I think, admittedly, the times we did try to crack that nut, we were not in this form that we are currently in. Uh, we started the season strongly, of course, but we played them before, like I said, hitting this just next level that we've hit in recent weeks. So there's that as well. I think their players, I think they have a good set of players in attack that can hurt us. And what I mean by that is tricky and fast players who can hit us on the break, as we saw with Xerxes and Dan and Doye, and Orsolini can cause us trouble as well. So when you've got, and we all know the 3-5-2 is naturally a little bit vulnerable to fast wingers, standing out wide and running at the gaps essentially behind the wing backs, and with our wing backs pushed up so far forward as they normally are, it's a bit of a weakness for the likes of Xerxes and Orsolini to exploit. So I think they just have some good players, and I think they defend resolutely, and that's really it. Fabian looks to be like almost like a Fratesi. Seems to have a real knack for scoring goals in and around the box, and he battles hard as well. So he's an interesting prospect. Obviously, we've got that buyback, and we can think about exercising it next season. Obviously, Xerxes is a really, really phenomenal prospect as well. It feels a bit of an insult to call him a prospect. I don't think it's a finished article just yet, obviously, but at the same time, calling him a prospect seems a little bit of a disservice. I think he's a really good player. And, I mentioned us not buying, well, I lamented earlier about us not buying those kinds of players. Someone like Xerxes would be, just would be the best case scenario, but obviously he's going to cost upwards of 30-40 million if he does go. But anyway, yeah, I don't think there's any reason for it. They're just a good team.
Irfan, do you think we're going to be sitting here in May and talking about Bologna being in the Champions League next year?
I think it's certainly possible. I mean, Mata has them playing really, really well. They had a really rough stretch. I was just looking at their results the other day. They had a rough stretch before they just kind of found their form again. And now the last time they drew or lost any points, dropped any points, was against Milan. I think they drew 2-2 against them almost a month or so ago. So they've been on a good run of form. The team plays really well. I mean, their defense is really stout. They control the ball fairly well, and then they have these like Jay was mentioning, these really like fast, players, fast in their speed on the pitch, but also fast and just kind of like processing ability. It seems like they have players who can evaluate the field and make decisions very quickly, and I think that's what I think surprises a lot of teams when they play against these guys. I mean, you look at the names, and yes, some of them are certainly good, like Fabian, Orsolini, Xerxes. None of them are jokes. But I think what really makes them overperform to the level that they have, if you can make that argument, is that the team speed in like the different facets of the game is really impressive. And so, I still remember the match that we ended up losing against them in the cup, and I think a big part of that was their team speed. And so, if there is a kryptonite on our team with our kind of center backs, it's probably speed. And so that's the one thing that whenever I think of Bologna, I just kind of think of how fast their front players are. And so, I think we'll be ready to face them, but I think they'll definitely be a tough match. And, given where they are on the table right now and the way they're performing, there's no reason to think that they might not be able to sneak into that fourth spot and get to the Champions League, which would be like a monumental job done by Mata.
And there's going to be a huge match today evening. before the Napoli-Juventus match when Bologna faces Atalanta away, because Atalanta sits at 46 points and Bologna is at 48. So if Bologna manages to win that match, they're gonna be like 5 points ahead of Atalanta and 4 points ahead of Roma for the
That's a
fourth
great
spot.
point,
So
Miko. Yeah,
yeah,
when we were talking earlier about Gasperini like taking off key players against us after the 3-0 mark, I think it was done with an eye towards this game.
Yeah, and what one point regarding the Champions League spot is that there is still a possibility that Italy will get the 5th spot actually for the next Champions League because of the format change. So it's possible Mota can make it. Yeah, to me, at the moment it looks like it's Bologna, Roma, and Atalanta fighting for the 4th spot, but maybe even 2 of them can make it to the Champions League. So, but it's up to the Italian teams in the European Cups this season. But it looks good so far, and I don't know. It's hard to tell at this point, but Bologna's record at the moment is really good. Like Irfan mentioned, it's like, is it like five straight wins?
Yeah.
Before that, it was 4 games in the league without a win. So there's still some kind of a possible inconsistency issue with the team, obviously, as Bologna is not accustomed to be this high in the standings. So there might be some pressure coming up later when the season is coming to an end, and if they have the real possibility to make it to the top 4 or 5. So it's definitely gonna be interesting to see how they're gonna do it for the rest of the season. But as for this match, it's gonna be tough for us because Bologna plays really well. Motta is a good coach. It's a well-coached team, and they have a good moves there, like combining with multiple players, and yeah, it's gonna be a tough one, especially as it's the away match for us, and we couldn't beat them at home 2 times this season. So tough one for sure. And it's a bit unfortunate it's right before the Atletico match, because I would have wanted maybe a bit too easier one for that one, but it is what it is.
Yeah,
Shouldn't complain too much, of course, because we are doing so well. But
there's probably
yeah,
going to be a bit of like hedging required here. Like if let's just say we beat Genoa and Juve drops points to Napoli this evening, maybe the type of lineup you roll out against Bologna can change. Whereas if Juve pick up full 3 points against Napoli, maybe we need to reevaluate. So perhaps the situation is fluid, but with the Atletico fixture means a lot, and with this game, kind of the last hurdle before you're going to want to plan accordingly. Irfan, I think you were going to jump in.
Yeah, I was saying just that was a good point by Miko about just kind of where Bologna are in the table, and what you were saying about the fixture kind of compression that we're facing basically right after this Genoa match. It really seems like this Genoa match is kind of like the last deep breath before the plunge coming up. And Miko also made a good point about Gasperini looking forward to this match against Bologna when he pulled some of his players, or the lineup that he pulled. And I wanted to let Andrew, you have a couple of seconds here to talk about your boy Scamacca and why he didn't play. And I guess maybe Gasperini was saving Scamacca for this all important Bologna match. So are you predicting like a nice little hat trick against Bologna today with a commanding win by Atalanta?
I was telling you guys offline, I basically nailed the prediction for last match. I predicted a 4-3 win with 3 Scamacca goals, and we won 4-0, and Scamacca didn't play. So as far as I'm concerned, I got it perfect. I was surprised they didn't start him against us, to be honest, especially because they just have another tight turnaround here for a critical match. And you'd think, in all seriousness, if Atalanta were to weigh their options, they'd want to go full throttle against Bologna and not necessarily us, whereas against us, you could afford to be a little more creative. But I'm positive what happened was they were planning on using him as a substitute. The game got out of hand and decided, what's the point? Let's just save it, look ahead to the weekend. So disappointing to not see such a great, talented, promising young player play. I will say, since we are playing Atalanta and Genoa in short order here, if I have to watch Retegui lead the line at Euro 2024, there's going to be a lot of venting on this podcast. So you all better hope Scamacca rounds into form here.
But Scamacca, he needs to wake up, like Spalletti said.
Maybe that's why he didn't come in off the bench against us. He was taking a snooze. Now, before we completely wrap up, I have to ask, we talked about this a little at the start. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle kits, yay or nay, Miko?
Definitely yay. I think this Paramount led advertisement campaigns, they are quite funny, and I like those shirts, the Transformers, and now the Turtles thing. I think I'm gonna get one for myself if they are still available. I think they were sold out initially from the web, but I think they are back there now, and they said that they sold a lot of them like immediately when they were available in the Inter stores in Milano.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. I think it looks super cool. I'm not like a huge Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan, but it props to Paramount for actually doing something creative. I think it's a cool idea. It looks cool. I don't even know if Paramount actually has rights to them or not, but I'm sure Jay is eagerly awaiting a Simpsons themed shirt coming up.
I think it looks cheap as fuck. I think the turtle, like the face that they're putting on the shirts just looks really just cheaply kind of done. I get it's done in like a vector kind of graffiti style, but I don't know, it just looks a little bit shit. It looks too small as well. I feel like the turtle should be like the face of the turtle guy should be larger on the kit. I think that'd be better, but whatever. To be honest, that whole franchise, Teenage Mutant Ninja shitheads, is one that I've just completely missed in my youth. I just never watched any of it growing up. I know what it is because they're obviously like a big cultural thing, but I've never watched a single episode. I can't even name the turtles. I know that they're all named after famous painters like Da Vinci and whatnot. I'm serious. I know there's like Raphael and Leonardo, and that's it.
But this is the most ridiculous thing you've ever said on this podcast. You cannot name the 4 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Raphael, Leonardo for Da Vinci, Raphael for forgot his surname, but the painter. I don't know. Donatello, isn't it?
Yeah, and you're missing a very easy one.
I don't know. Fitzgerald. I don't know.
Michelangelo.
Oh, right. Yeah. Fair enough. And then there's like some
you got
old
3 out of 4. I'll accept it.
And then there's like some old rat prick who like teaches them or something. And they all live in the sewer. I don't know. Like Irfan said, for me it was in Australia you'd come home from school and then at 5 p.m. or at 6 p.m. they play The Simpsons every night without fail, and that was my growing up. So I kind of missed the whole Ninja Turtles bandwagon or trend or whatever. Anyway, they released it on all 3 shirts, and I'm thinking to myself, we're only going to wear one of them against Genoa anyway. We're not going to wear.
You can sell more shirts, and that's the key here. You got one shirt with just Leonardo on it. You got one with all 4 of them,
and then the orange one with another one, presumably. But
let's just not talk about that orange kit.
I don't mind the orange kit, ironically. But anyway, I look forward to seeing the shirt in action in our upcoming draw.
In all seriousness, I'm not even that big of a Ninja Turtle fan, or I wasn't growing up. But I do appreciate the creativity here from a marketing standpoint, where we're going to lose some of this. I think we talked about the Transformers, which were at the match that Miko, Irfan, and I went to, where it's okay, this is very cheaply done. Like, you see these ridiculous pictures of Transformers on the sidelines, and it just looks very half-baked. But on the other hand, we're going to lose some of this when we switch to this betting sponsor we're apparently getting for next season. And I understand why it needs to be done because the betting company is apparently paying us more money, and maybe they cut Frattesi in a deal or something. But the struggle is that these cheap gimmicky things that sell jerseys are good cultural phenomenons that gets your brand and the name of these casuals we were talking about in previous episodes. So it's going to be sad to see this go, because I kind of like where the intentions are with these, Transformers and Mutant Ninja Turtles initiatives, even if they aren't being executed the best. I don't know why these mascot Ninja Turtles we had to take pictures in the locker room somehow looked like the most cringe mascots I've ever seen in my life. It's like they're missing shades of color on them.
Yeah, they look like they were made at home by kids dressing up for Halloween, but whatever. Let's I look forward to the match and seeing the mascots, high-fiving the players as they come out of the tunnels and all that kind of thing. So yeah. Let's go.
Inter's gone Hollywood. Gotta love it.
We got Kanye, we've got Ninja Turtles. We are truly just doing everything we can to become America's team.
Except sign Americans. Okay. Which our cousins keep doing.
Yeah, and we signed the Canadian to boot, so that's not really... We'll get the memo to Murata. All right, let's wrap it there with our shortest episode in quite some time. Thanks you all for listening. We'll be back next week.
No Jay's bets?
Sorry, I forgot. We're supposed to debut Jay's gambling tips this episode. So, Jay, you have 2 minutes. Give us your best bets of the weekend.
Yeah, that was... Yeah, I completely forgot myself. I'm debuting a new segment where I give a hot betting tip for the week. I bear absolutely no responsibility for what happens to your money should you follow these tips. But here's my big tip for the week. Atletico Inter 1-1. Enjoy.
This guy. I'll just quickly add a few more disclaimers. These are Jay's views, not the views of the Inter podcast, Jections podcast. And we are not responsible for any money that you lose. And just following Jay's advice on anything really is fraught with peril. So please proceed at your own discretion.
Atletico 1-1. Lautaro to miss a penalty. You heard me. Do with that information what you will.
All right. And while we're at it, you might as well put money on Scamacca to score against
anyone.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up. Thanks all for listening. We'll be back next week with a review of the Bologna match, as well as a look ahead to the Champions League showdown. So talk to you all then.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
Thank you. Bye.
See ya.
Come on.